Great works are performed not by strength, but by perseverance. That's Dr. Samuel Johnson. I thought that it might be a nice idea to begin each of these episodes with a quote by Dr. Johnson. He is a Renaissance man and has many gems. Anyway, look him up, but the learned among you will know of him. So there we go. That's quote of the day for Samuel Johnson. I also thought we had to begin this one with a selection of quotes. Now, I do revere the scriptures. However, it's always good to jest and not make light of things, but jest and find the humor. So here are a bunch of funny quotes about the Bible. So there are 8 of them, and I'll just list them off. And if you don't find one funny, then tough. Well, maybe the next one will make you chuckle. So, Samuel Butler, no idea who that is. An apology for the devil. It must be remembered that we have only heard one side of the case. God wrote all the books. Raymond Chandler. The Bible is a lesson on how not to write for the movies. Some of it is very boring. Others are amazingly rich. The story of the Exodus has been made into some great films. And yeah, imagine putting Revelation into a film. God, that would probably frighten most people. It's a pretty psychedelic document. All right, number 4. The number one book of the ages was written by a committee. It was called the Bible. It is. The Bible is a book, but it's really a library. 66 books written by many authors over more than 1,000 years. And that book has outlasted empires. It's strange how something so evanescent as words on a page can outlast kingdoms, castles, kings. Written by a committee, that reminds me of an anonymous quote about a camel. Very strange animal, the camel. He said, a camel is a horse designed by a committee. Very funny. Okay, Bertrand Russell, very famous, but this is funny. So, the 10 commandments should be treated like an examination. Only 6 need to be attempted. You know, some exams you don't have to do all the questions. So obviously he's leaving out the first 4 as it happens, which I think are the easiest ones. You know, those are the ones about God. Obviously he's an atheist. However, the ones that are hard are don't lie, don't commit adultery. We all kind of want to, unfortunately. And don't steal. It would be handy to steal, if that were okay. Freebies, really. As I like to say in my shoplifting days, comes for free 99, and the secret ingredient is crime. There you go. So, Oscar Wilde, I think this is quite funny. The book of life begins with a man and a woman in a garden, and it ends with the revelation. Hey. Bit cheeky. This is funny. If you know the book of Job, you know that it's pretty brutal. Job is this good man, like the best of all men, kind to everyone, honors God, obviously that can be seen as a good or bad thing, but in terms of the biblical framework, got nothing against him, and then God just sends plague after plague after plague, and obviously I don't really know what that's about. It's pretty harsh. Anyway, so the quote is, I read the book of Job last night. I don't think God comes very well out of it. Bit of sort of understatement. And then it's just called the Bible now. We dropped the word holy to give it more mass market appeal. Anyway, make of that what you will. Now, let's get on to some serious business. Espresso. Why don't we? Oh. This is the first podcast I filmed in the evening, but I have matters to attend to later on, and so a little bit of caffeine could do me, could set me up very nicely. However, it's always important to keep the fluids up if you're drinking caffeine and then subsequently imbibing the fruits of the malted hop or wine. I can't think of something good to say. Right, so enough rambling. I don't know how many times I've said that. A lot of you have probably switched off by now, so that's okay. So I'm just left with the fans, if I have any. No, I'm just kidding. I definitely don't have fans. But okay, so I thought I'd talk about mental health in today's episode. It seems to be a common theme in the world these days, and it's something that has very rightly been sort of developed for as long as we can remember, as long as I can remember. We've had doctors, we've had iatros is the Greek for doctor, as it happens. In pharaonic Egypt, they had all sorts of doctors, a lot of them probably doing counterproductive things, strange remedies, leeches in the Middle Ages, etc., etc., etc. And so physical health was always a reality. And over the years, through a series of amazing miracles and accidents, penicillin was discovered by accident by Alexander Fleming, basically just a sort of petri dish that he discarded, and then came back and he realized, oh my goodness, this is an antibacterial or antifungal or whatever it is. And then penicillin then did wonders. So medicine advanced greatly, but I think only recently, as far as I can tell, and correct me if I'm wrong, mental health was not really like so much of a concept. I guess we had, when I say we, I mean capital We, the human race, sort of psychologists and philosophers and those things, and dealt with the human condition in a sort of discursive, humanitarian way. But in terms of sort of NHS helplines, I don't think mental health has been much of a thing for a long time. Indeed, let's look back to the 1950s of my father's upbringing, in the 1940s, with no safeguarding. Their schooling, it's really appalling. They were basically just a lot of people in the English prep school system from the late 19th century through the 40s and basically just sent to these dens of iniquity, and there was physical abuse from the masters, quite brutal often, sexual abuse by both the masters and the elder pupils, or just bullies, that went unchecked, verbal abuse, and then obviously if you mix that delightful pot together, you get psychological abuse, or anyway, long story short, it wasn't ideal. This is all like a preface, so I should probably wrap this up. Yeah, and so long story short, people like George Orwell, C.S. Lewis, and Christopher Hitchens, all great poets, not poets, but all great writers in their own respect in different ways. If you read their biographies or listen to them, they all just tell of, minor torture at prep school. So that's a bit of a shame. So, mental health. So I thought I'd go straight for the jugular. So what is bipolar disorder? So for a long time, I fought my diagnosis of bipolar. And the thing is with mental health is it's not so tangible. Like if you've broken your leg, you can look and you have a broken leg. Sorry, not now. I'm recording a podcast.
Okay, can you just clean up the kitchen?
Yes, we'll do.
Just because I'm going to use the kitchen soon.
Yes, that's fine. I lost my chain of thought. Yeah, no, broken leg, broken. Whereas everything in the mental health world is more of a sliding scale. So it's very hard to... separate clinical depression, to take an example, from just the highs and lows of life. And, if you're dealing with the death of a loved one, you're naturally not going to feel great in yourself mentally. Anyway, so there are no fine lines. And I have always been a little bit eccentric, probably. And so I get from my mother's side a sort of history of depression in her sort of genealogy, her line. My mum's doing very well. She had a great period of life, pretty much undisturbed until so she had postnatal depression, which must be really difficult, really difficult. Imagine the most joyous period of your life, in the birth of your first child, when the world should be blossoming, and you feel more bad and hopeless and meaningless about life than you've ever felt, ever. And you think, oh my good, well, you must think like, this is everything's downhill from here. This is meant to be the best. So anyway, postnatal depression, sad times, but she, both with the help of medication, support by friends, and just general accumulation of wisdom and strategic decisions at the right times, I would say, she's doing much better, and she has been doing much better. Well, she's been pretty much tip top for about 10 years, so happy days. Myself, it's been a little bit more of a turbulent time. So I'm 21, and this is going to get quite personal, so I don't know, should I share this on the web? Well, it's the truth, so you might as well know the truth. It's not that personal, but yeah, there's no credit card info yet. So grew up happy lad, always very sort of idealistic. Anyway, and then I sort of, God, this is gonna be, I should put, I'm gonna address this issue once I've thought about it more, about how I'm going to come at this angle, because this is a complicated story that takes a lot of thinking about. But anyway, I broached the issue, and so you now know where I am. So maybe I'll just leave it there. And there's a whole long story to tell. Maybe I'll leave some enticing tales, enticing things. So there's an expulsion from school somewhere along the line. There is a sort of rehab, trying to find a new life away from friends with whom I did drugs with. And the hardest thing to quit drugs is the fact that all your friends, if you do it over a period of 1 or 2 years, and you not like hard drugs or like meth or anything, but like just your friends naturally become your co-conspirators, shall we say. And so in order to quit, you kind of have to stop seeing your friends, and then you're quite lonely for a while, and that can be tough, and it can feel quite isolated, or it's just a strange time, and you love your friends and you feel like, I want to see these guys, but you really will never be able to. I think it's pretty much impossible to quit if you if all your friends are doing it, and I don't know, it's tough. That was just my experience. And what else happens in this tale? Yeah, it's a tale of trouble, parental rebellion. I mean, that's happened all my life. And then finally reconciliation, and we're in a great place now. And I realised that familial relationships are something to flourish and lean into, and I'm just constantly asking my dad about his past, and I'm constantly seeking to understand who he is more, and then you just get a richer appreciation of everything, and ask about your ancestry. And I don't know, these things are often overlooked, I think. Yeah, and the developing of one relationship then sort of spreads. It can spread into your other things and in your other areas of your life, and then you can be there for them in a different kind of way, because you've deepened that relationship, just like they were there for me all my childhood and still today. So I think I'll wrap it up there, because otherwise I'm just clutching at straws and you'll just have to wait for me. There'll be a lot of awkward pauses. So we're going to wrap it up there. Episode 4 is an incomplete episode. So thanks for listening. Tune in again should you feel so inclined. Otherwise, unsubscribe. and never come back again. It would be a shame if you never came back again. See you next time.